Hello. Hello and good evening. Welcome to the final session of the last day of Wacom Career Days. Our very first online event where self-employed artists and studio professionals shared their insights and experiences on how to pursue a professional career as a creative. Before we jump into the talk, I will go through some of the basics with you for a final and last time. Our session will last approximately 1 hour with a dedicated Q&A session at the end. We will be keeping an eye on the chat, so feel free to send your questions anytime you wish. We're all here to learn from the experiences of our speakers, so please be kind to each other and do not spam the chat. You know the drill by now. If you have to leave early, don't worry, the session is being recorded and will be available, just as the others, on Wacom YouTube in the following days. Those of you who have registered will also receive a follow-up email with a summary and additional information next week. We really enjoyed how you used the chat on YouTube to socialize and sharing your art accounts over the last couple of days. Again, we kindly ask you to keep the chat clean for the session-related questions and commentary during the presentation. A quick and last reminder and introduction of your hosts. Again, thank you very much for being with us for the last couple of days. We from Wacom really enjoyed you having around. For those of you who just jumped in the very last minute into the session, Wacom has been around for some 40-odd years, and we are the pioneers of digital pen input technology. Wherever you want to create on your computer and you realize that using a mouse or trackpad just doesn't cut it, you should try using a digital pen. Wacom Career Days has been sponsored by MSI. With more than 35 years of technological expertise and never-ending drive for innovation, MSI satisfies the needs of all types of end users with product lines that include, but are not limited to, notebooks, desktop computers, monitors, components, and chassis. A world leader in content creation, business, and gaming solutions, MSI's newest content creation series products, Creator and Prestige notebooks, PCs, and monitors are not only powerful enough for even the most demanding creator tasks, but is also known for its pleasing and award-winning designs. To learn more and discover the right products for you, visit msi.com. Finally, it's time to start the last session of these Career Days. My name is Jeroen, and I will be the host and moderator today. And in this session, we will bring to you Faik Karaoglu, Executive Vice President of Wacom's branded business, and Mike Jelinek, Senior Product Manager at Wacom and an artist and a designer in its own right. And without further ado, let's bring them on screen so they can talk business to you.
Great, thank you, Jeroen. Good evening to everybody. My name is Faik. It's a great pleasure to be with you at the end of the Career Days. I think we had a 3-day session here. Today we are going to talk about business, and here Faik and Mike are going to bring the business perspective and the creative perspective together. With this, maybe Mike, to you.
Hello everyone. Thank you, Faik. Thank you, Jeroen, for a kind invitation and the introduction. So yeah, we are going to talk about the dark side of the creative living, creative life. It's the business, it's the money, it's the bean counting. And because I do have some experience of being in trouble in my last life as an artist, and I went through it and I learned some things, I hope that I'll be able to give you some advices that you don't repeat the mistakes people frequently do being an artist.
Great. Then with this, let's start. We selected some topics for you. We selected these topics. We think they are relevant, and we would also like to discuss this with you, and we would love to have this as an interaction session. That means that you can really ask your questions to the chat, but also after the chat, later also really address them to us, and then we will see how we can answer them and how we can solve them. With this, I would already jump to the session. We are going to go through the business part. Again, it's going to be a little bit business language. Our goal is in a way also to explain this business terms, but at the end, I think it shouldn't be so difficult. And we are also going to bring this to the context, to the creative context. With this, I would like to start with the definition where we are talking about definition of a creative professional, just to as a starting point. And we are defining a creative professional, somebody who is really earning money with his creativity. And here again, Mike is bringing also his perspective to this. I think this is the difference between being professional and maybe just doing this as a hobby or really as a passion, etc. Mike, maybe you want to add to the creative professional something?
Yes. Interestingly, this is the very first catch. You may introduce as a person who is attempting to make life by being an artist, being a creative person, to be paid for the work. And the catch is really important. You need to understand what kind of creative professional are you? What are your deliverables? What the output is expected from you? Because there's a lot of confusion. In most of the cases, it's not about the beautiful images you produce. You are sharing something more than just an image, than just the artwork. In most of the cases, you are sharing an idea. And this is critical to understand. If you're a concept designer or concept artist, it's usually clear that you are expecting to deliver solutions and ideas. It's not just the illustration itself. But if you fail to do that, you will fail in delivering a job as a creative professional, being a guy who's asked to deliver the idea. So that's the first sketch. Understand what you are about to do. What's your deliverable?
I think we are addressing here freelancers, we are addressing here small, medium businesses, we are addressing here also really team members in corporate environments, but also education academics. That means it is a framework which is in a way touching everybody and which is in a way, in this case, should be also part of your thinking in your creative professional career. That means you are going to touch some of the topics for sure. With this, I would like to jump on the topic content. Mike mentioned this already. Content is the key. Is the key what you are really producing. That means content which has a value, which is in a way also for somebody, and there is something also out. This content is usually driven by time, quality, and also, of course, cost. Time, this is your personal time. That means your time, what you're putting here, there. The quality, for example, of your work. Just if you take the creative aspect on this, the quality is, for example, impacted on the stroke, the quality of your stroke. How often you do your stroke until you get the results. And of course, cost. That means what is the infrastructure you have to drive this. And if you put this 3 dimensions, this is going to drive your output, and with this really also your content. Mike?
Yeah, absolutely. And this is already giving you a picture what you need to bear in mind when you are producing an artwork that contains the idea. It's the amount of the time you spend on it, but also it's the journey, how you reach the required, the desired goal. And that is being expressed by the cost. I mean, some people, they're happy with the pen and paper, but when it comes to, scanning, all of the stuff you usually do with the analog type of the work, you find out that you spend more time than you wanted. And that kind of defines the time you're spending on it. And that also defines the cost you will probably charge, the money you will ask for. And with that said, the technology that helps you is really important, because if you master it and if it helps you, then it can reduce the time you spend on the work. And it takes some time to kind of adopt the technologies in your workflow, in your pipeline, but it's definitely worth of investigating and trying new tools, new techniques, because it can significantly improve the ratio between time, quality, and the cost.
This, let's use one aspect which is going to impact your output. In general, your decision making. You have to do a lot of decisions, especially, for example, what kind of output, which content you want to generate. What is your short-term, mid-term, long-term perspective? And of course, also your priorities. With this, it is also in a way driven, driving your output and the content which you are going to use really as an output as your business. And here always the question is, based on what are you making your decisions? And the most difficult part, in my point of view, is, of course, rational versus emotional. The one you are really using and doing just because of passion, and the other one maybe you are doing to also earn money on this, and to have, in this case, also the professional aspect on this. But you can combine this, and there's also a way to do it, Mike, with this.
Yeah. That's. I'm so glad that you present this slide, because the rational versus emotional, it's somehow mythical, and people feel like that there's a clear division, clear difference between those two, rational and emotional. The funny thing is, although, that emotional started as rational, started as an experience. Emotion is basically a chemistry in your body reflecting on your experiences. So with that said, you can build up your habits. And by the way, this is not anything, anything based on a fantasy. This is really cognitive science. This is really proven mechanism how the emotions are built in our body. So you can build the habit, you can build up the process that builds your positive emotion, and that may reflect also on your work, and then finally how happy you are doing the stuff. And also, Faik, did you already mention? Do you want me to talk about the short, mid, and long-term goals?
Please, yes.
Okay, because they're connected to rational and emotional. Sometimes we are asked to deliver a painting or a concept or a design or anything on a request as part of your project that you're paid for. But for some reason, it doesn't work. You don't have the ability to, sink into the flow, to start be created in that rational type of meaning. And that's quite interesting, because use that time when you are not unable to work on that specific topic and do something personal, work on your portfolio. And you'll find out that your brain is in the meantime, because this is giving you a pleasure by working on something emotionally positive. This is giving a space to your brain to work on the rational issues that you need to solve as well. And you might be surprised that this is really having an impact on your output. Even though you are not so-called working rationally at that moment, you're still letting your brain to work on it. So don't be frustrated by, those black days where you are not able to create the stuff you are asked to do, because it has its own time.
Good, then let's take an additional aspect on this cost management. I think Mike mentioned this already, the dark side of Faik. I would say the cost management is something important, and you can manage it in a way. And here, really, from your perspective, you have to look, what is your productivity? That means what is really your output? What is impacting your output? And you can drive this in your way, how you want to set this up and really influence this. The second topic is about the scaling. That means how you can, for example, use what you have already there. And here I'm talking about modularity. Here, don't forget, you are creating content, digital goods, and digital goods, they have the advantage that you can, if you have modular parts and you can reuse them, of course, you can also drive this in that way that you save time, and with this you also manage your costs, and with this also, of course, your output. On the other side, always the question about variable for costs and fixed costs, just to keep it as variable as possible. And on the other side, cash flow. You have to have an eye on your cash, because cash is important to really, in that case, to continue to do the next step, especially in the business context. That means cash is giving you the freedom to do this, what you love, and what you why you are there. And this is, I think, some aspects about cost management. And with this, I think maybe more tangible from Mike's side.
There's one important point here: variable versus fixed costs, because this is something not many artists do understand properly, and I've been there as well. But when I was much younger, I was so excited about the work that I didn't actually pay any attention how much money I spend on technology, on the tools I'm using, and I felt like, I need to be paid for my time, and I often forgot that computers, tablets, but also the internet connection, mobile phone costs everything needs to be calculated in your price, into your final price. And if you don't do that, you find yourself that you can pay your, let's say, house bills of living, but you are not able to upgrade. And today you're even more forced by various companies asking you for subscription. So there's a monthly amount you need to pay in order to be able to be working. And that's quite important to understand. So I think, Faik, please correct me if I'm wrong, it's called overhead, isn't it? That expression in the economy. So you need to bear in mind the overhead, the money you need to spend on your tools, on your devices, on your desk, on the light, on the paper you're using, because not frequently people keep that in mind.
Yes, and in the whole context, just also keep in mind your time, your time, what you're putting behind this has also value. And with this, it is also in that way, your investment, what you're putting there. And I just want to highlight again, this digital product topic. The content, what you're generating is digital. And we are really talking about something you can also play this in a different way. This is the difference maybe between analog goods and digital goods. In digital goods, you can really reuse also some of the parts you are generating, also part of the ideas. Again, as I said, the modularity is can be key here in the whole topic. Manage also your costs, and with this also your time. With this, let's jump on the very simple, I would say, formula, which is in a way, profit is your revenue, the money you are earning, minus your cost. And we high touch this a little bit, but this is again the very easy formula. In general, you're earning money, but don't forget you have also your costs, and this is then your profit. Of course, the formula is more complex, but we simplified this here in a way. Don't forget to really manage also your costs here in this whole context.
I mean, if I may ask, I still do have a rough idea what profit is. Sometimes I had an impression, and I used to be like that as well, that the profit is the money that's the extra money you earn by doing something. This is the bonus that stays with you and you can put on the side and buy your Ferrari. But it's not like that, isn't it?
It's not like that. It is really the money you can use. It is your money you can invest for new things. You can, in a way, also really use for living. And this is the money you can really, in a way, also have in your daily life. This is the money what you need in that case in the different passes, independently where you are.
Mm-hmm. So with the profit, that's the money that is left. And is that also including the money I would use for vacation? Let's say if I would be a freelancer.
For example, that would be also the money for vacation. And I put it really profit here because profit is usually also after tax. That means you paid also your taxes, because if you're a freelancer, tax can be very painful and you have to do it. And this is then after tax. Yes, and this is the money you use usually for your vacation, but also for courses and also for here technology for devices, which is increasing in a way also your productivity, etc., etc. But also, as you're saying, things like holidays, going in a restaurant, or other things.
Thank you. I'm just answering some people having a question that if I'm from Czech Republic. Yes, I'm from Czech Republic. On the chat on the YouTube, so I'm gonna give them a dobrý den and dobrý večer for everyone who's from Czech Republic here.
Maybe for everybody. I think just to give you also, Mike is in Prague and I am in Munich in Germany. That means here we are really doing this 100% virtually. Jeroen, our host, is in Düsseldorf. That means we are combined in a way and bringing the different perspectives here together for you. With this, let's jump to the next topic, the portfolio view. Again, the content, what you are generating, this has, as I said before, this has a value. This is something you are generating, and you can have a portfolio view on this what you are developing. And here, just this is one way to look on a portfolio. What I did here is I used the so-called portfolio matrix of Boston Consulting, which is a consulting company. Just adapt this really for you in this case. And they have 4 terms. They are dividing their portfolio in stars, in cash cows, in poor dogs, and in question marks. The stars are in a way also in your portfolio, also the content where you know the demand is growing. And you have a big customer base there. That means this is something you have really to invest a lot. You have to drive this in the future and see also how the stars can continue to grow in this area. The second topic are the so-called cash cows. Here, the difference between stars and cash cows is here the demand is not growing, but you have a strong customer base. That means you have a relationship to customers. For this, you are going to manage this relationship with your customers. And of course, you are also going to supply this to your customers. The next category is the category about the poor dogs. Here, you have both sides are weak. That means the demand is not growing. And on the other side, also, your customer base is not big. The recommendation to you would be, maybe you just put this aside and you say, look, I'm not focusing on the poor dogs. There is no demand. Or, and on the other side, I don't have a strong customer base. And again, that would be really just a passion from your side. That would be really just to fulfill your creative needs and in a way also to drive this. But for business to focus on these pure dogs, it makes no sense. Question mark, this is something where you're seeing demand is growing. There is a demand in the market, but you have a small customer base. Then maybe you can think about this, okay, if you want to be part of this flow, then what you have to change or what you can do really to be also part of this journey and to make this question mark maybe 2 stars. Of course, this is your main goal because here the demand is growing, but your customer base is not there. And this is just one way to structure the portfolio. And the main message is here, look as a portfolio on your content, on how you're driving this. And then see where are you investing also your time and which part is really for earning money, which part is more really for your creativity and for your passion. Maybe also from the perspective of a creative Mike, you can.
Yeah. Please keep this slide here because this is really important. I would expect the first question: how would I become a star? I want to be a star because I want to have a growing demand with a big customer base. No discussion about it. And this is funny and that's interesting because you can influence it by your decision. Of course, there's always a need for that, be in the right time in the right place. And that requires a bit of the luck. But based on your portfolio, you can make a decision that will drive your future. Let me give you an example. If you love manga or anime, you can do a lot of fun art. You can build up a fantastic portfolio that is fully focusing on that specific art discipline. You will be great in doing manga. What will your portfolio tell? That you are able to deliver in that particular art segment. No discussion about it. But what you will be? Most likely, you're not going to be a star. You will be part of the team that is going to execute the ideas of a star. It doesn't mean that you're not going to have a good life by that. You can still earn a lot of money. You can be famous, but you are going to be most likely a cash cow. But how to become a star? It takes a risk and a lot of luck. And the portfolio could be a good way to become a star. Just forget for the moment about the artists you love, about the artists you want to copy, you want to reach the level of artistic skills, the expression. Just do your thing. If you want to design spaceships, fill your portfolio with spaceships. It may happen for some time that you won't get a job that will be about spaceships, but if you fill your artwork, your portfolio with manga style, you will never get a job as a ship designer because everyone will look at you as a manga artist. So put in your portfolio what do you want to do, not what you're doing right now. You may have a really cool school project. If you're an industrial design, you can have a fantastic fridge or car. But if you want to do a spaceship, forget about that stuff. You already have the experience to create your private personal portfolio on the content that you want to spend the rest of your life on. And I think That is something really important. However, there are risks. You may need to you may need to sacrifice a lot, but it's not just art. You know, if you want to do the subatomic particle physics, you need to sacrifice a lot of time as well. And guess what? You probably won't earn a lot of money by doing that as well. So sacrifice is part probably of the life here.
Thank you, Mike. Maybe there's one question from, I think, Helik Thakur, and he's saying, I'm kind of confused. Helik, just please ask your question. Ask your question also in the chat, and then we are going to answer your question where you are confused. And we are going to really recap this if this is a confusion, as you're saying in this case. With the next slide, I would like to look on maybe on the product, on your output. Again, going back to the topic, what are you creating? And here, the product, how this is fitting together with the market. You have always to look how the product market fit is generated to come maybe to the level, as we said before, also to stars, where you are also seeing, okay, there is maybe a market, a high market demand, and you have also the capability to really fulfill this demand. And this is also what you can drive here. And just to make it again as tangible as Mike said before, the question is which market? The animation market, the manga market, VFX market, the game market, the industrial design market, etc. And then bring this together, understand what your customer needs. That means what is the value you can add to your customer, or maybe which problem you can also solve for your customer. And based on this, you can bring your content, your product, and with the needs in the market, and see how you can develop this also in the future based on the feedback you are going to get again and again from the market, from the customers. And with this also, with the increasing demand, you can also in a way influence this.
Yeah, yeah, that's great, because this is explaining the risks I've been talking about during the last slide. And this is also about your decision, how you will manage the risks. Of course, if you want to have a safe life, it's probably a good idea to learn some 3D content creation package such as Maya or Blender, and to really master it. And you can probably get a safe job as a so-called 3D generalist. You will get an employment and you will do modeling or rigging or texturing, which is an art as well. However, it's probably not going to give you a chance to invent a new character, invent a new spaceship, design something that will change the aesthetics for the next 10, 15 years. You're going to be part of a big machine, but that's fine. That's perfectly fine. I know a lot of people that are happy in those positions and they have a good life. So the question is, if you want to become one of those guys, they are like a Sid Mead who, change the aesthetics, who change the world in a way by, starting something that is called concept design today, or concept art. You need to consider that it's risky. It's risky. And it's not about your ability to take risk, but it's all about your family, because you're dragging the family with you. And you don't want to have your dog being hungry. So be clever, be smart about making those decisions. It's risky, but sometimes it's worse. On the other side, you can still do art, but be part of a company that produces art as a studio.
Yeah, I think this is also then related, very strongly to the whole topic. And I think the unique business value is going to be always a key driver also on your side. And you have to identify this, define this, and really develop this also for the future. I think this is essential. With this, I would leave this really to Mike to bring the creative perspective on this, because this is your differentiator. Yeah.
So what is unique business value? This is the expression that is really used in the business as a description of something that differentiates a specific product, let's say, on a market. Something has a different value than something else. If you buy a Porsche, you won't probably buy it because you have a family of 5 people plus 2 dirty dogs. Probably not. You're gonna buy Porsche for a different value. You probably go for Subaru or Skoda if you want to have drive the whole family. But that's just a vague example. The unique business value is also you as an artist, you are also holding a value, a unique business value. And based on that value, you're getting job offers, you're getting your project offers. Someone is really good in painting mood scenarios, environment. Another one is really good in designing machinery or characters, something like that. And that's your unique business value. And you can decide that you will develop that specific value and it will become unique on the market, and that will help you to be unique on the market. So that means a little. Or you will decide that this one value is not enough and you want to have a wider portfolio of the skills, of the values you can offer to the market. So it is tough, but this decision could be made and it's totally up to you. Then we have this artifact as a business asset. What is the artifact? In a way, it's basically anything that you are not shy to share. Any image, it could be a rough sketch, but also it could be a Mona Lisa level of the artwork. This is the artifact. And it has the value. It's the business asset. It's like the brake you are going to sell. It's the car you're going to sell. It's the asset. The thing is that the price of this asset is changing over the time. And I'm going to give you an example. About 5 years ago, or 6, maybe even longer, I did a couple of the drone designs, which became viral after a while. But at the moment when I've created that, I felt like, it's just, I spent a week of like a personal challenge designing those things, and, it's gone and that's it. I didn't waste those 5 days by playing because I've learned something, but it has the value, because after some years, I find out that a major automotive design studios, they printed out those drones and they had them on their wall in their presentation room as a kind of a motivation or inspiration wall. And I feel like, hey, this is where the asset starts to have a value. So it may happen that your artifact may look priceless at the very moment, but it's not like that. It's not gonna stay like that, because you simply could be ahead of your time, or maybe late. That may happen as well. And with that comes the old idea versus the artifact. Most of you know a French designer, super famous French designer, Philippe Starck. He's a rock star of design. If you have ever seen his sketches, that is crazy. You just don't understand how this person could be so creative. And the thing is that his initial artifact, the sketch itself, may appear doesn't have to have no value at all, but there was the idea, there was the concept that had the value. So it is also really important to understand that there's a clear differentiation between the idea and the artifact itself. It might be a beautiful image of, it's after 8, so I can say that, big anime girl with big boobs, but there will be no idea. It's gonna be just vague image with no idea, with no content. So it's up to you to decide, idea or just the artifact.
Yes, and this is helping you in a way also to define your unique business value, which is then connected again to the business, which is connected to the customer, the demand, portfolio, etc., etc. With this, let's jump to the go-to-market. I think this is just a simple one. This is important. You just have to think about this: how to bring your product, your content to the market. That means, how are you going to do marketing? How are you going to do sales? How are you keeping the relationship you have already to your customers? How are you interacting with them? And how are you developing also maybe them for the future? These are essentials in general, also in business terms. And I think this is also important from your side, especially if you want to earn money with this. You have to think about this: okay, where is my customer, and what I'm going to do to reach out to him? Is it social media? Is it, for example, in a way, Instagram or Facebook or something like this? Or is it something else that I'm maybe working with somebody together and developing something that this can really go in a way, and that in this case also my audience, my target customers are hearing about this. The other thing is, of course, also the sales. This is something also how you want to do sales. As I said, the content what you're generating, this has a value. With this, you have to also to charge it. And here, I think part of the issue could be that you don't want to charge it, or maybe you are too shy for it, or something like this. But again, it has a value. Your work has a value. The content has a value, and I think you have to put a price tag on this to say, okay, this is the work I put behind this, and how you want to drive it. Customer relationship, I want to highlight this. This is important. If you have customers, you have to develop the relationship in a way. Don't stop the relationship, because it is always cheaper, coming back again to the cost topic, to work with existing customers instead to really get new customers in your funnel. You have to put much more effort to get new customers in your funnel. If you have a customer base, my advice is really in general to you, keep them, develop them, stay in a relationship with them, and work with them together. This is important, and use them as a partner for you, and maybe also as your community. Maybe Mike, the greatest person.
Yeah, I don't have actually much to say, but there was someone on the chat here, yeah, who made a very related question to it. Branding. How to develop a brand? How, you know? So let's talk about it for a while.
I think this is a very, very good question. I think always the question is what is brand, and how this is connected. You as an individual, as an artist, let me say it this way, as a creative professional, you can of course work also from your side on your reputation, which is in a way here ending in a brand. But this is really, you have to invest a lot in this. In a part, it is also how you are working, as I said, with your customers. But in a way, you have to define also what are the attributes of your work. If you define the attributes of your work and really also say, this is maybe my uniqueness, this is the difference how I'm doing it. And if you continue to tell also this story in that way, then the audience is going to see, and then you are, as I said, reputation, and then the next step is going to be your brand, your name, and you can use this independently. If you are a freelancer, if you are in a corporate environment, if you are an educator or really also a scientist, it is your name. This is the important thing in the creative community, that here you have on one aspect maybe the organizational aspect, but on the other side also the individual aspect. But I think, Mike, you have a good reputation, and even also just share it.
Yeah, this is funny, because what I've learned over the time, that it's not always you who gives you a brand, who make, basically the surrounding, the society, the community where you are gives you the brand. You're earning the brand, and I've been facing that quite a few times in my past, and I must say that in some cases I wasn't really happy about it, because I started my career in Skoda as a component designer. Skoda is a car company, and I loved. I saw a fantastic demo of a French guy his name was Christophe Dupont, who became later a chief designer at Renault. And he did a fantastic demo of modeling in Alias. It's Autodesk's Alias design right now. But at that time, it was just Alias. And I was fascinated by the fact that you can, take over the responsibility from the modelers and do something from scratch. And I became obsessed by using Alias for my creative work. And it ended up that they were calling me Alias Mike. And I didn't like it, because it made an impression also to everyone else that Alias is the only thing I want to do. But that was not true. Alias was only a part of my tool set, of my workflow. And I was failing to communicate the fact that it's just a tool. So I wanted to move, and after some time to another job, which was coincidentally working for Alias as a company, because they started to do more investigations, and they came up with a product which included a sketching and painting capability in it, and I fell in love again. So after a while, I became a sketch Mike in the company. And guess what? I didn't like it either, because it again felt like that I'm only doing sketching and I don't know anything about the modeling or so and so. So over the time, I've realized that I really need to take the ownership about my brand and communicate carefully what I like, what kind of tools I'm using, because it can easily create an impression that you don't want to make. Even today, it's like those kind of a blast from the past. I still see them returning, and people are giving me questions about specific technique or tool, which I completely forgot after all the time. But I'm always trying to help because I just don't want to. It was a beautiful part of my life, but the thing is that it's not good if you have that just one nickname, you know, alias Mike or alias Sketch. That was not good enough, and it wasn't enough for business as well.
Yeah, and I think that the next topic is also underlining this. It is how you work in the community, and how the community is also in a way, seeing you, and what is the view from outside in this world. And I think the community is key, especially in the creative area. If you want to grow, and I think this is important also to see how you can grow with the community together. There are always maybe peers who are going to work with you together, who are going to challenge you, who are going to develop you, where you can really also, through this collaboration, you can bring your work also to the next level. I think this is one of the platforms you can drive. The other one, the difference between community and network, community is maybe more anonym, and a network is your personal network. That means let this grow also during the time. And on the other side, also partners. This is something, address this directly, really to generate a win-win situation. A win-win situation in a way also to, for example, develop your uniqueness, but on the other side also maybe to earn money. That means if somebody is talking about partnering with you, if she is earning money and you are not earning money, then I would say it's not a partnering. Then you are working that he earns or she earns money. And this is also something. Take this in a way also and drive this. And here important is always how you're interacting in these different patterns, and what is your reputation, and what is it's also the what is your contribution to the topics, and what are you getting out of these platforms and patterns. This is maybe Mike from your experience also as part of the community. I think some advices.
Yeah, this is also an important part, because you know this whole art market or creative market could be highly competitive, but on the other side, every job market is competitive, so it's not an exception. However, there is an interesting thing here that usually when you work on a large project, such as is the design of the automobile or design for the new blockbuster or for a computer game, you usually never work alone. And that's quite important to understand, because if you are going to submit your portfolio, also the tone you are using, how you communicate your stuff, is influencing your chance to be hired. In my last job, I was part of the acquisition team, so I was going through some portfolios as well, and I heard from a colleague of mine who was about to be their manager of the people we were trying to hire. They were the creative designers, and he said, you know, that he likes this particular guy because he's got a good portfolio. But then when we invited him for an interview, he wasn't hired because it was impossible to imagine him to work in a team. He was simply incapable of working with the other people. And that's quite important to understand. And thanks God that we have amazing Andre, his THU, and other events that they are available on this planet for the artists to get together, to partner, and to actually learn about the others, and potentially for your next job, being able to identify the friends or partners who are not just good artists, good creators, but also good team players. So you can bring along your team. So that's how you build your network that turns into a tangible business in the end. Does it make sense?
It makes sense. I think with this, we can also then jump into the topic really on an individual level. And I know you have some experience about this, Mike. With this, I think in the community, but what is then an individual artist feeling, and how she is in a way also using this kind of things.
Yeah, I'm gonna start with the imposter syndrome.
Yeah, yes.
It's perfectly normal to have one, because first of all, it's a great motivator. And if you don't know what the imposter syndrome is, that if you walk into, to give you an example, if you walk into the room at THU and you watch everyone filling their sketchbooks and you feel like that you're the complete idiot with no skills at all, that's perfectly fine. They may look over your shoulder into your sketchbook and they may have the same feeling that they can't catch up with you. It's kind of tough to deal with it. It creates a depression possibly, because we are not always, sure about the things we are doing, and we need to kind of get the let's say a maturity by ignoring that imposter syndrome. But it's good to have one because it pushes you forward. However, even if you know that the imposter syndrome is part of your learning process and self-development, it may influence your ability to negotiate, to discuss what will be your value in the market. Again, to give you an example, imagine that Jim Cameron is giving you a call and he wants you on the new Avatar, and you want that job so badly that you say, okay, I'll be fine. I'll do it, for free, or, for like $20 a day. And you'll be super happy to do so because you feel like that you don't deserve such a job, but you'll be happy to have one. And that's a perfect example how your imposter syndrome is influencing your negotiation skills. Now, you need to understand your value. You may think inside that you are weak and unskilled, but once you're in that position that you are facing the request for your job, you need to forget it for a while. Just don't be a prick. Don't be arrogant prick. It doesn't help at all. But just be humble, be honest, and don't forget that that imposter syndrome is perfectly normal to have.
1%
right.
right.
There's the yeah. Go on, please.
No. I think
I need to sip a bit of the tea.
Yes, I think failure as a part of business. This is also something. Take this really as a I would say as an asset. You are usually learning from failures, and you should learn from failures, and you should take this really as a part of your personal development. Again, independently in which environment you are, and failure is also in a way part of development. Important is that you are developing and that you are not taking this as something, okay, now I did a failure, etc. Take this as a part as a business and use this as an asset. Use this to do it the next time better, and maybe even so better that you are on the next level and that you can drive this in a different way. This is general term in business, and if you look, for example, in the startups environment and how this community is really evolving, the failure is here asked. It is really important that they are saying you have to do it to get the experience to really get to the next level. Otherwise, you are not able without failure to get to the next level. And I think, and I'm convinced in the creative space, in the creative community, it is the same.
Yeah, it is. Thank you for that. Just again, to give you a funny example, I love those. I heard, and I think it is trackable, and you can find it on, just Google it out, what I'm claiming here. Apparently, Steven Spielberg, and I don't think George Lucas is doing the same thing, but Steven Spielberg is collecting and buying the rights for the movies they were never published. And there's a claim that he owns about 8,000 movies they were never released into the public. And all of these movies, they were for their creators, for the investors, for the publishers, they were a disaster. It was the failure. Yet there is a person, in this case, Steven Spielberg, who paid the money to have them in their collection. So what is failure to you or to some people in the market might have a huge value for someone else. And this is a big planet. So keep that in mind if you think that something is not going right, because you just may have a wrong client, wrong target group, wrong audience.
Good. That was couple of things we said we want to share with you. We want to discuss also with you. With the whole context, business, everything, important, relevant, especially if you want to highlight the professional part of your creativity. But in general, please don't forget the creativity. Don't forget the emotion part. Don't forget the passion part. This is where your asset is coming from. This is the difference, maybe your uniqueness, also, I would say, in a bigger community. And it is important that you really, really continue to lift this and to drive this. That means don't look just on the business part. You are authentic if you can drive these different patterns also in your personal development. As I said, this is your asset. This is where you are coming from. Mike, maybe
not much to add. Not much to add. Yeah, the passion is always important, and I've seen a lot of cases where the particular artist wasn't skilled at the level that that particular job required, but the passion was there. And these people, they usually develop much quicker than people they already have a solid set of skills. It's all about kind of an inner power, and the passion is a good engine for that.
Great.
So thank you for this slide.
Yeah, thank you. I think that's it.
Oh.
Thank you really for being with this on Sunday evening here, and talking about the business part, the dark side of creativity. But again, we believe all the topics what we mentioned are relevant. You are going to hear them, see them somewhere, independent in which environment you are. For this, we said, let's start the discussion, and let's see how we can also maybe continue during the future to maybe have also some deep dives on the dedicated topics, to work also with you as a community together, and see how we can highlight some of the assets, for example, the portfolio management or others. With this, I would say thank you from my side. Maybe Mike from your side.
Yeah. Just one last thing. Just feel free, please, to reach me out over the social media, Facebook, Instagram, whatever. You can Google my name, and it's pretty easy to find me. Just feel free to reach me. I can't promise that I will answer instantly to all of you at that very moment, but I'll try to do my best. But why I feel this is important, because we want to hear from you. We want to learn from your experiences. What do you struggle with? What is your creative process? What is your workflow? What do you like? What do you don't like? Where do you struggle? So please feel free to join us in this conversation, because in the end, it might be a dry business, but we still have that passion and the emotion and the joy of doing these kind of things. So let's keep them that way. Thank you, guys.
Let me chime in with the thank yous. Thank you so much, Faik and Mike, for this amazing session. It was great listening to you. It really felt like a mentorship session. And then I think you could see in the chat that there was a lot of resonation for the topics you raised. You actually answered all the questions that popped up on the fly, more or less. One important question for you, Mike. What was the name of the French author you mentioned?
Philip Stark. I typed it somewhere in the chat.
Okay.
So you can just look it up. Philip Stark. He designed a couple of the interesting things. Just Google him out.
Fantastic. And I really like that the part about the portfolios. I know it's a different portfolio you were talking about in that slide to the artist portfolio, but it has quite a lot of analogy that might be helpful also to how I rank my pieces in my own portfolio. Bring the cash cows and the stars to the front, and keep the question marks for later in the discussion with whoever is going to review your portfolio. I think it was very helpful to see that, and we saw people literally taking notes in the chat about this. So thank you for that.
Yeah. It's a short sentence just to wrap it up this way. The portfolio is not about what you do, but what do you want to do? Keep that in mind.
Fantastic. All right. I'd say we wrap it up. It's been a great session. Thank you so much for taking the time. Thank you so much to everybody who was here with us today and during the Wacom Career Days. To all the people out there, it's been an amazing time, and we really appreciate that you joined us. Also, a very big shout out and a massive thank you to all of our fantastic speakers, Alex, Loish, Glenn, Ben, Dan, Fern, Jonathan, Tendai, Vanessa, Andre, Derek, Faik and Mike. Thank you so much for buying into this crazy idea of Wacom Career Days and making this possible. And final reminders, please go ahead and follow our speakers, show them some love on social media. There's a lot of information for you guys out there, and it's a really, 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 really cool source of inspiration. And thanks again to all of you. Till then, and stay creative. I'm sure we're going to see each other sometime, somewhere, in one or the other way. So keep doing what you're doing. Thank you.
How's it going, guys? Joshua Lafemi here, live from LA.
And I'm going to be judging the graphic design category.
I'm a 3D character animator, and I have a YouTube channel all about animation.
And I'm super excited to be a judge again for the MSI Creator Awards 2021.
I can't wait to see what you all come up with, and best of luck.
Contests are great to push yourself just a little bit further.
Please submit your work at MSI Creator Awards 2021.
And I would love for you to get involved.
And can't wait to see what awesome stuff